Studio here in Nigeria's capital city of Abuja. It's been months since torrential rains unleashed devastating floods in Mokwa local government area of Niger State, leaving hundreds displaced and communities in ruins. Collapsed buildings washed out roads and destroyed farmlands. The aftermath of the heavy downpour in Mokwa has left residents homeless and hopeless. Many now take refuge in shelters with limited access to food, clean water, or medical aid.
While emergency relief trickled in for local authorities and NGOs affected, residents are now demanding a more permanent solution, which is resettlement. As rebuilding remains a distant hope, displaced families in Mokwa continue to wait, not just for aid, but assurance of safety and a future beyond the floods. For now, they cling to resilience and the hope that help will come soon. And for more on this development, we have in the studio the Niger State Commissioner for Trade and Investment, Aminu Suleiman Takuma, and he is here with us live in the studio. Also here with us is the Special Advisor to the Governor of Special Duties, Dr. Murtala Mohammed Bagana, right? Bagana. Yeah, it's good to have you in our studio this morning.
Good morning.
You're welcome.
It's a pleasure to be here too.
Well,
thank you.
Let's start with the recent floods in Mokwa. This was a really tough period for residents of that area. How did government step in to support people? And I'm not just talking about, relief and providing aids, the aftermath, resettlement. What has government done so far to resettle residents in that area?
Thank you very much, listeners. Thank you very much for this opportunity. My name is Murtala Mohammed Bagana. I think one thing we have to know is the issue of flood and ecological disaster is a multifactorial problem, and in our own instance, is both due to hydrological issues, ecological issues, and man-made factors. One thing the government has been able to do immediately this happened was to set up a coordinated platform, the State Emergency Operations Center. This is made up of government officials, development partners, and the community leaders. And immediately the issue happened, I think individuals were deployed to the site and to make sure that immediate relief materials were provided to the individual. But this is currently weeks after the devastation happened in Mokwa. What we are currently doing is to provide immediate relief for individuals to go and settle down. We also provided food materials and other relief materials, working with our development partners. Roads were destroyed during this very devastating flood. And the government has currently awarded contract about 7 billion naira to construct road between Mokwa and Rabah, and also other bridges that were destroyed. So this is what is currently happening. There was also a promise by the federal government of Nigeria to resettle families from the point of the state government. The state government has provided land with CFO to the federal government to ensure that permanent resettlement takes place. I said so far this is what we have done.
Okay, now let's look at Mokwa. Now the flooding quite left a lot of toll on the citizens of Niger State. And also there's this continuous warning from NIMED that we're still going to have more experience of flooding. So which means it might still come back to Mokwa and to probably some other communities.
Exactly.
Now, what are you putting in place? Because if we have that challenge and we have not fully resettled the people, and God forbid, and it might still come, and you have another devastating flooding to meet the last one, how is the state preparing to absorb and ensure that we don't have that kind of destruction? Because no matter your investment, if you keep having such destruction, it's like going backward, one step forward, two steps backward.
Yeah, I think a lot of activities currently happening is community engagement, engaging the traditional leaders and the communities to ensure that people don't settle on ways and water pathways. I think it is important to, put in context exactly what happened in Mokwa, because if you could actually agree with me, a lot of communities and individuals living around the river band were not affected. But the case of Mokwa was a man-made catastrophe that was due to a railway that had an embankment, and this embankment gave way, and this led to a surge of huge amount of water from a block riverine dinghy. So if people are actually looking at it from that context, there was a man-made factor. So what we have tried to do is to beckon on the federal government to make sure that that particular railway is fixed. And this is something that the federal government is currently working on. I think my colleague will also add, because he's also from Mokwa constituency. But very importantly, we're engaging the local community. Okay. We're ensuring that we sensitize the community to avoid individuals setting up their farmlands, setting up their communities within the pathway of. This is something that the federal government and the state government is currently working on.
All right, let's look at development around Niger State in terms of trade and investment, which you are the Commissioner of Trade and Investment in Niger State. How would you say you're supporting small businesses, especially, the local women, to, improve and also attract investments to the state?
Thank you very much for having us here again, and good morning, Nigerians listening to us. So, you see, we are like 2 years in the office now. And from day one, what His Excellency, the Executive of Farmer Governor, has done is to give us a marching order. He had tried to put a round peg in a round hole, so that, and give him KPIs so that we deliver. Now, when we talk investments, there are several categories that we should look at, and they all interconnect with one another. Now, you did mention women and small businesses. Now, the way I would take it is I would take it from multinationals and trickle down to women, and small businesses. It takes an average of 18 to 2 years when you start following up on an investment. That's the investment cycle. And this, I know, it's a World Bank thing. From my 24 years at the Nigeria Investment Promotion Commission, we had done this in several states. The governor has moved around. He has looked at agriculture, the entire value chain of agriculture. How do we develop it? How do we improve it, given the fact that Niger State is 10% of Nigeria if you look at it, in land mass. And practically everywhere, you can plant something. Now, our women have been picking maybe shea nuts, in the process they get bitten by snakes, because there is no proper, organization in putting them in organized vesting. So we have gone around to seek for multinational companies that are entering Niger State as we speak right now, and that's why, you see, our flagship project in Niger State today is a special agro-processing corridor, where we have 5 locations interconnected with each other. One produces, one consumes, to produce something, and then we have a planned railway connection, to it. It's partly African Development Bank funded, but the funding coming from AFDB will only cover between 7 to 10% of this. So the governor has been able to travel around, and he was able to bring in multinationals, particularly from China. And in addition to that, the governor was able to attract $684 million US for infrastructure development, to add to whatever AFDB, is going to do. People will be wondering, this amount is huge, how do we get to pay for it? It's a simple logic. The governor called us and said, look, gentlemen, let's work on mineral for finance. And this is how we started with the Chinese. So today they are coming to set up multinationals. These multinationals, the feedstock those that will be feeding them with what they would need to produce are the women and the small farmers, you had spoken about. Okay. So that's the connection.
Let me still take you back to Mokwa, and I like the fact that you said you have this value chain that links. I think it's 5 communities, and you linked with rail.
5 locations,
and you have rail connecting
yes.
them. You actually took that off my mind because I wanted to actually ask you: are you planning to network those areas? Now, Mokwa, it's one community that is so devastated. Mm-hmm. And we also, history also told us that when there is this flooding, it carries a lot of alluvial soil, which is very rich. Now you're asking the people to move. And those areas where flood plains are usually very rich. Mm-hmm. That is why they are attracted to those places. Mm-hmm. Now, if they're going to leave those natural endowed areas, what other things are you putting in place for them? Whether it is in processing capacity, and because of your location in the north, are you thinking about making your states like a one-stop shop for other states to come in and invest because you have capacity to process?
So, I'm smiling. So, Niger State is actually being positioned today to be the agricultural hub of the entire West Africa. Okay. Let me break it down. Mokwa, that was affected by the flood, is a big place. And the Chinese that are coming to set up processing factories there and also to grow rice there have been taken to Rabat, where by the river Niger, where they went to see abundant projects, the former Sunflag, that has been abandoned for over 16 years. They are taking over the place. They have also negotiated with Nigerian flour mills that owns another 4,000 hectares of land there to take it over and grow rice. Now, what they are also going to do is, because part of the funding is going to put in place infrastructure, like I told you, the rail. Now, Mokwa has an old train station, which is very close to the College of Agriculture. Now, we have negotiated with College of Agriculture so that they can give some land, part of the land, for the Mokwa Inland Depot container. This is because Mokwa is an exit point between the north and the south, where the trains, would be moved. So this connection of rail between the 5 locations that I've spoken about will also connect to the national rail, which is at Mokwa. And then we have an inland container depot there where you would exit all the products that has been produced.
Well, some people say that Niger State currently looks like a construction site, and that's not in a good way. There are talks about too many projects happening at the same time. Others are asking, where is this money coming from? How is the government balancing development and financial responsibility? I'm directing my question to you.
Thank you very much. I think, first and foremost, I think Niger Light have not seen this level of development for years. So people, of course, are astonished. I think one of the things we try to do is to set up a very formidable foundation for development. So looking at key pillars, whether it is ensuring that we improve livelihood, sustainable economy, and you can't have a sustainable economy without a stable security, good governance, and urban renewal. What is currently happening in Niger State is complete overhaul. So I'm not surprised people are wondering, where is this fund coming from? I think the issue of fund is not a big problem. Like the governor used to tell us, don't worry about where the money is coming from or how you kill the money. Worry about how you put a sustainable infrastructure for the people. This is a combination of both domestic resources and also foreign direct investment. That is exactly what is happening in Niger State. So we are actually turning a lot of infrastructure, making sure that we provide an enabling environment for foreign investors to invest in Nigeria, whether it is on road, aviation, on healthcare, and I'm sure in the course of this conversation we'll probably touch on each of these key areas of infrastructure. So the issue of resources, definitely are both domestic resources, you know, IGR from Niger State, and also foreign direct investment that we are getting into Niger State, because we are making the environment very favorable for individuals and multinationals to invest in Niger State.
Okay. Let me quickly ask this other question. Still talking about flooding and also your capacity to checkmate it. Now, would we be able to assure citizens that the next the impending flood will not devastate because you have set up some stop gaps? And if not immediately, maybe in the next 1 year, because of XYZ we are putting together, no matter what happens in River Hadejia, no matter what happens if the Cameroon, the dam in Cameroon is open, no matter what happens, our people will be secured. If not immediately, okay, the next 1 year, this is what we are doing, so that we'll be able to place it on record and say, okay, this is what they said, and this is what has happened. Is it possible we have that assurance?
Yeah, I think it's possible, but we also need to know that there are a lot of ecological and climate change issues that, of course, is global. You could recall last month a devastating effect of flooding, even in Texas, with all the technology and infrastructure that we have in United States of America. But you could see what is happening. I think what is very important in most instances is for government, both at the state and the federal government, to pre-position relief materials and ensure that communities are well sensitized. Communities are well sensitized to not to put infrastructure on the pathway like they usually say, water will always find this way. I think in Niger State we are actually doing that, ensuring that we sensitize our communities, traditional leaders, opinion molders, and also working with our partner organization. His Excellency Mohammed Umar Bawa has assured citizens that this will be a thing of the past, and I think we are absolutely confident that it will not be the case. And we are not praying for that.
All right. I would like to ask what is being done in terms of human capital development, because it's not just about building infrastructure, roads and bridges. The human capacity is also comes into play, and how, you know, residents are surviving. What is being done by Governor Bagu to improve the lives of residents of Niger State?
So that's a very good question also. And I'm just going to use one example. And the example I'm going to use is the company we call Niger Food Security Systems and Logistics Company. Lately, there's so many things flying around about Niger Food, and unfortunately, it's because people do not understand. Niger Foods is a state-owned company, but Niger State government only owns 10%. 10%. The remaining 90% is private sector money, you know, owned, you know, in the company. And to answer your question, what is Niger Foods doing? The implementation strategy for Niger Food, first and foremost, is a 2-cycle annual production, you know, and they're already putting things in place. Yield production of 10 tons per season. That has never happened in Niger State. It's part of the, because of the implements. In Nigeria. Absolutely. Because of the implements, you know, and the kind of tractors, because we have over 1,000 tractors and implements that were brought in, you know, to service the entire locations. We have 50 commercial farms through different investment strategies, cultivating 100,000 hectares of land, plus 100,000 small farmer holders, you know, drawn from various communities, including youth, women, to cultivate on rice, 150,000 hectares of land, and this is like 1 hectare to 5 hectares per individual, you know, and these individuals are drawn from various communities. So you would find out that what Niger Food is doing is actually a community thing. You know, we've got the bogus processing plants, you know, that are put in place, but then we have to go down to the communities to pick one individual, like I said, maybe 1 hectare per one individual. Inputs will be given to him. The land will be cultivated for him or her, you know, and at the end of the day, Niger Food is going to be the off-taker. I'm sure just recently, about last week or 2 weeks ago, we were in Lagos. We signed a 1.8 trillion naira deal with Dangote to supply Dangote with paddy rice. Even the Produce for Lagos Park, that initiative, we were there and we signed. We're part of the 500 billion naira pack, and we're supplying yams to Lagos because Lagos has put up an agricultural hub and they need food to be fed into that place. And all this we will get from the smallholder farmer, you know, the new graduates that is interested in farming, because we're trying to make them see the beauty of farming. That is why the governor has said he is not an executive governor. He's a farmer governor. So he is leading by example.
Okay. Quite interesting with this signing and your capacity to supply Lagos and supply other off-takers. I'd like us to look a bit into the aspect of security, because no matter your level of investments, if the small farmers cannot go to their farm at the end of the day, the whole objective will be defeated.
Absolutely.
Now, how are you ensuring that Niger is more secure? You had a bad pass. So how are you ensuring that Niger is well secured, and what exactly is the government putting in place to ensure that farmers can go to their farms and they can cultivate and supply the off-takers?
Thank you also for that question. So, you see, when we first came to Niger, it was really terrible. But it has gone down drastically. And what were the modalities put in place? First, the local vigilantes were put into proper organization. They were supported by government. Now, this is to take care or curb the banditry or insecurity stuff, you know, until when the actual thing is deployed. And what do I mean by actual thing? We were in St. Petersburg. The governor led a team to St. Petersburg, where we went to talk about mining, because they are very good in mining, to support and work with us in mining and train our students for mining. While we were at that, we now talked about security. So as we speak right now, drones are going to be delivered to Niger State. These are mega drones that would move around 200-300 kilometers, you know, just taking pictures, doing surveillance, you know, and what have you. And they're going to be working directly with the new small security packed agency that we have put together. It's strictly Niger State, to be trained, you know, to work with the military, to also work with the police, you know. So these are mechanisms the governor is putting in place. We cannot get rid of insecurity in a day or two. It's a process, and this process is being followed as we speak right now. And we also have a commissioner of nomadic. This gentleman goes into the cronies and nickel, where we have the so-called bandits, speaking to them, converting them, you know, and what have you. So we are trying to even put up an initiative, which we are putting it together for His Excellency's approval. We call it mining for food. So where we have, because most of the banditry areas or insecurity areas are where we have the mining. If Niger Foods can get food, subsidized food, you know, to that particular area, it will bring it down, no matter how little. Like that will begin to catch, you know, and convert people that are otherwise aggrieved and are putting them into this kind of, yeah.
Well, there's talk about development just happening majorly within the state capital. I'm talking about Mina. People acknowledge that there's development ongoing there, but some residents have complained that rural communities and other local areas feel left behind. What is the governor doing to ensure that, you know, this development that is much talked about reaches all corners of the state, especially people at the grassroots?
Thank you very much. I think that was a very good question. That is not the case in Niger State. I think what we have tried to do is, I will pick it one after the other. Let's start from the road construction. We are currently constructing over 1,000 kilometers of road across all the nooks and crannies of Niger State. This is a minimum of 5 to 10 kilometers of road construction in every local government, in almost all the communities across Niger State. I think that is one of the reasons why people are wondering, where is the money coming from? That is one. Secondly, when it comes to healthcare, what His Excellency have tried to do is to mirror the exact template that His Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the whole revitalization around primary healthcare, level 2 primary healthcare establishment. So what we have tried to do is to set up and construct type 2 primary healthcare centers across all the local government. Currently, we have commissioned 30 of that, and 70 primary healthcare centers are on the way. We are looking at the possibility of making sure we commission that before 2026. However, very important, taking development of democracy to the people is the issue of World Development Project. In Niger State, there is a steering committee around the World Development Project. What are we doing around World Development Project? What we are trying to do is that every month, the 274 wards in Niger State will be receiving 3 million naira to fix basic infrastructure, basic amenities, ensuring that things that are not going to go through the due process, the bureaucracy of government, are actually attended to in each of the communities and wards across Niger State. So development is currently going on in all the 274 wards in Niger State. And in order to set up this World Development Initiative platform, we are engaging communities to set up this committee. And we are also awarding this contract to those communities so that people can take ownership. People can actually pinpoint and say, oh, this is exactly what the government at state level is doing, but we are in charge. We are going to monitor the project. We are going to ensure accountability, and we are also going to ensure sustainability of those projects across 274 wards in Niger State.
All right. We must say thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time with us on the program. That's where we'll leave the conversation this morning. But we'll definitely keep our eye on developments that are happening within Niger State. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.